So welcome, everyone. My name is Guy Dauncey. I am English heritage, living in Canada for the last 30 years on Vancouver Island. I live on the traditional land of the Snuneymuxw and the Indigenous First Nation, and I have been learning so much around the history of the people whose land we live on. And when I first came to British Columbia, I knew in my head that people had lived here before, but the journey of learning I've been on has been fantastic. And I want to share one image with you here. This is the language map of British Columbia, which I've recently discovered. It is really quite astonishing. And so I can these are all the languages spoken. If I can zoom in on Richard's, the Nuxalk territory and the area where the language is spoken. So I just wanted to share that by way of my acknowledgement of the traditional territories that First Nations live on, and the journey of learning that I'm on, which is really probably the most important piece for us white settlers. We, the West Coast Climate Action Network, was established 2 years ago to support and engage the 240 climate action groups in British Columbia, to help them be more effective, to promote their work. And we set up an Indigenous engagement team so that we ourselves would learn and understand what was happening and be in a good position to support similar Indigenous climate action work. And today's webinar is part of our series called Indigenous Perspectives on Climate Action. And so with that, I think I can get straight into things. We're doing this, I should say, in partnership with the Raven Trust, and Conrad Young will be joining us later to tell us about that. So our first guest today, we're talking about Indigenous Sustainable Building. So our first guest, Richard Hall, is a Nuxalk hereditary chief and a Red Seal carpenter and builder, a construction foreman, building inspector, site supervisor, project manager. He serves as a special advisor for First Nation communities in constructing energy-efficient homes. In his role as asset manager for the Nuxalk Nation, understanding how much mold impacted his community members' health and well-being, he led efforts to design and rebuild people's homes. He sits on the expert advisory group for the British Columbia First Nations Housing and Infrastructure Council. And he's currently designing affordable, sustainable, energy-efficient homes that suit the climate and the cultural lifestyles of First Nations communities. So Richard, over to you.
I just want to take a minute to acknowledge the people that are lost, people that are confused, and the people and the survivors of the residential school system. And that played a big part of my life because I'm a survivor and I lived there and chose not to live there anymore as a young man. Yes, I am from Nuxalk Nation. I was raised by my elders. I was raised by my grandfather. And we're in British Columbia, Great Bear Rainforest, where the life expectancy of a home is 70 years before you have to spend a lot of money to rehabilitate it, repair it. And my experience in housing has been since 1986, so do the math. It's about 38 years of work, and I have all this knowledge. I said, oh my God, I said, I have to put a pen to paper and do my part. And everyone does their part. We'll have a better lifestyle for First Nations people and have affordable housing conditions, healthy housing conditions, and look beyond the oppressive system that we have been born with. And I worked as a building inspector in BC, and I traveled throughout BC in the communities on reserve and off reserve. I participated in about 6,000 inspections, and the west coast of BC really fascinated me because I saw that most problematic. Not only that, the cultural lifestyle of our people was so diverse that it caused so much challenging issues within the home because of materials selected, because of the dynamic of moisture and heat, the dynamic of inconsistent heat, like wood burning appliances. To me, they're the worst thing to have it in the shed or something, but not in your living space where you're so codependent on it. So with this booklet, I looked at affordability. I looked at the people and they have to make a choice. Do I buy food today or do I buy fuel today? And that's shouldn't be a choice. The home should be designed to support the family and not only in warmth, but shelter and healthy homes. The housing model is created for First People of Canada. This model is designed as affordable, culturally appropriate homes. It's also designed to address the shortfall. The home is designed will address and complement Canada's mandate on energy efficiency. The template can be modified to suit the climate, regional differences, and complement the diverse cultures, lifestyle of the people. This design is principally for the West Coast. And the booklet can be easily edited to meet your needs. The purpose of this presentation is to introduce solutions to relieve the pressure of the housing crisis. Inserted into this plan are drawings. You looked at the drawings, we'll see them later. And then there's 18 solutions to create sustainable, durable, affordable, culturally appropriate, energy efficient homes. This booklet will also present a new building standard. It can be developed for each nation and involves further opportunities for each nation to utilize resources, their membership to construct their own homes. That's part of the problem. Too many people come and build their homes for 4 times the cost it should be. We built these homes for $110 to $150 a square foot, and utilizing our resources and minimize that further. I call this the West Coast energy efficient homes, the development of affordable homes. How do we create that? First, you have to create a building standard. In the booklet, we have a building standard that has 2 avenues of 2 selected materials I found most suitable for the West Coast of BC, whether it's cedar siding or hardy plank with a range grain application, whether it's Duro-Rite shingles or metal roofing, or gypsum wallboard and mold resistant M2 tick board. So we designed the booklet, we designed plans, and there's 5 drawings in the booklet. We'll see. We created the drawings to present the reasonable cost with a formula to track materials and labor. We standardize the formulas, one size windows, one size doors, to actually complement people with disabilities and kind of know what the room sizes are can easily be developed with for people with disabilities because they're beyond 90 square feet, which is just a normal building code standard. I designed a home with 2 condition spaces. These condition spaces are designed to complement the habitable spaces, which is the living space. There's a designed crawl space, which is airtight and hosts a hot water tank. It hosts a forced air furnace, has access door, and it can host some storage. And the cultural space will host storage. It's more semi-conditioned because of what happens in that room used to happen in the habitable space, and most of the damage in the West Coast was it was common for me to walk into a West Coast home and find that people are boiling water with gypsum wallboard and it just saturates the board, creates pockets of moisture behind the drywall and becomes visible as moisture damages, which lead to mold. But change the material list to complement moisture. I use wood in the ceilings because wood absorbs and dissipates moisture just as fast. And with consistent sources of heat, they complement each other. And people don't think like that because we're being put in a situation or in civilization or where the standardization is drywall and all this other stuff that doesn't really work in the West Coast. With this booklet and with my community here, I created a building standard. I created a building team. I built capacity within the community. Selected materials most suited for the community. Introduced building science, building technology, and their quality. I designed homes with conditioned spaces. I created a building practice to complement the weathering elements, to deter moisture for, like I said, for affordability, standardized formula of the room sizes, window sizes, door sizes, and designs homes with all features that created hardships. They're now designed with features to minimize moisture damage in the habitable space and living space. This template can be easily developed to suit your needs. Not my needs, your needs.
Richard, would you like me to share some of the images from your book while doing this?
Yeah, we'll do that in a minute. I think I got a few more things to say, then we'll go into the design itself.
Okay.
The designs will be a stepping stone towards strengthening communities by building capacity and creating economic stimulation, and mostly provide opportunities for all First Nation communities to invest in themselves. A small yet giant step towards independence. The home design is also to create affordable yet healthy homes for nations who have no economic resources. Healthy homes equal healthy relationships within the family structure. Opportunities of change must be integrated into our education system, health system, and social parts of our peoples. We must now utilize what resources available to move forward, take control and reclaim our identity and ownership of the homes. I always say, don't be stung by the economic or our past federal behaviors. The government must stop enabling and stop disabling and start enabling our people. Create change in the systemic relationship that is oppressive to our people. And the hardest work you're going to do for your community if you do this kind of work is change the perception of the people who you work for. They're so tainted and scarred by the past behaviors of the government's policies and white paper policies. They must build and create a standard and be the authority of their own design and buildings. In this booklet, we have 16 features. One would be mold. Other would be interior design concepts, barrier-free. Heating spaces, heating appliances. cost. Most of the cost and building capacity. I'll go through the booklet with Guy and we'll go to page 1. If you will, Guy.
Yeah. So that's the cover.
I gotta minimize the screen so I see. So this is West Coast Building Standard Residential Construction Specifications meaning it has 2 options in this booklet. You can look at metal roofing or asphalt roofing, like I said earlier. If you go down a little bit on your screen, I think, yeah. Go up one more.
Up one more, down one more.
Up, back to the beginning, toward the beginning. Right there, it says, right there, hold it there. So this booklet was created by me and is supported by BC Hydro, BC Housing, the province of BC, and I worked with an architect who helped me design the building, and RDH Building Science people from Vancouver Island. A little bit of history myself, and the newly constructed homes, if you scroll down a little bit to that area, yeah, up too far.
Sorry. There we are. Got it.
Right there. So the newly constructed homes have provide solutions to address indoor quality building signs, moisture damage, mold, ventilation, heating system, conditioned spaces, interior design concepts, structural challenges.
Richard, can I hold you a minute? Someone needs to mute themselves. I can't see the mute buttons anymore while I'm sharing. So can everyone mute themselves except Richard? Carry on, Richard.
Yeah, structural challenges and standardization formula to minimize cost related to home energy efficiency, economics opportunities for creating jobs, utilization of resources, affordability, sustainability. Oops, I can read that.
Yeah.
For back my notes. And as for other features, what was found in the work that we did with the booklet, and BC Hydro asked me these questions. I don't know why you're scrolling down. So the carbon footprint that evolved from the work that we did in the process of application, the process of selection of material proved to be lower than the Canada standards because of the wood content. Guy, can you go back up a bit there?
Yeah. Into the videos. Hold on.
Yeah. So suggestions, recommendations. Each First Nation must design a building type, building standard, incorporate materials that meet and complement their specific needs, occupant, climate, and cultural significance. The nation must establish themselves as authority having jurisdiction. This booklet can be edited, like I said, to meet your needs, nations. The education part of what we did with that, we have to reconnect the children to the adult and adult to the children. And by doing that, we created online videos. Once you download these videos, you can actually see them. And we put them in their schools for the kids to look and understand what we're doing here. Then if you go down a little further, Guy, next page. And this is a booklet. This is a 2-bedroom. The interior features, interior finish of the exterior walls are all outside walls. I don't know if you can see my mouse here, but all outside walls are M2 Tech board, which is a mold resistant board with a mold resistant compound and mold resistant tape. The gray part is moisture application of flooring, which wraps up the wall. Like I said, what is common for me in the West Coast to walk in, see in their kitchen boiling water and cutting fish or tanning a hide or piling wood. So I introduced a cultural component of it. The orange part is the habitable space, which is airtight, met step code 3, 4, and 5. The windows you see are all standardized, formulated. The room sizes are standards in width and length to minimize waste, and also all openings are wheelchair accessible. On this building, we have large overhangs, large truss overhangs, and they're structural grade trusses. You can move walls anywhere you want to. I saw that as a challenge within the organization I work with. It'll cost you $10,000 to do it after. And I said, why not incorporate it into your design so we can move walls where we want it? Because we're Indigenous people, we like gathering, we like groups, we host a lot of cultural events, and you do that in your home. And you look at the plumbing, it's all centralized into one area, so we minimize our costs in plumbing. The bedrooms, they have doors that are undercut, and they're undercut to create ventilation, passive ventilation. Go down about another inch there, guy, to a corner bedroom right there. And you look at the bedrooms there, they have 2 windows, so we can create a cross ventilation. The windows are one size, 5030, because you're going to use, if you use different size, different types of windows, the cost related to the home construction goes up significantly. And they're double pane, and they're double pane windows. They're double pane and the triple pane, but they're sealed tight. There's no sliders. They're all hinged. Sliders are the worst kind of windows to have. You get a lot of fluctuation with the differential pressures inside and outside the home. As you open door and close the door, pretty soon the seal is gone and we create all the damages. In the closets, you'll see that the closets they're hinged doors, and they have louvers on the bottom, create airflow in the closet space so you don't have moisture damages. So this 2-bedroom, it looks like a large footprint, is 1,500 square feet. And the cultural kitchen is about 245 square feet. And we built these homes here at $110 a square foot.
Wow.
And you notice that there's a ramp coming up. The ramp is 8 feet long. It's exaggerated here. The door and the vegetables are where you take off your clothes, wet clothes and stuff like that, and store them. The other doors sealed tight. And you'll notice that door in the laundry room and a kitchen, because that's where most of the activity happens. That's where most of the moisture will stay, now that you don't have to use that kitchen, the principal kitchen, to do all the cooking or boiling water. You do that all in the cultural kitchen. In some of the elevations, you'll see that there's places where you can hang moose, hang a deer, or cut fish, whatever you want. But the avenue for development is open, but I would suggest that you keep the habitable space conditioned as it is and use a cultural kitchen for the purposes made for. On this booklet, there's a next drawing. It's a 3-bedroom. You scroll down to that guy. And again, the same features. And this is, you remember what I said, to address the affordability of homes, to make it affordable, to make it standardized and know what the costs are. This is a 3-bedroom. It has all the features that we talked about. All the plumbing is centrally located, so it's no real big cost. Doors are standard, with closets are all the same. And in this feature, we have a dotted line near the 35-foot mark there. There's a beam, so we utilize some of our resources. No, they don't have basement, they have crawl spaces, which are about 4 to 5 feet high, where you can actually walk. And the bathrooms, they can be very adaptable. You can adapt them any way you want for interior design concept for wheelchair accessibility, because remember, we have structural grade trusses, which are clear span from point A to point B. You don't have to worry about getting architect or engineer or structural engineer's designation to move walls. It's already built into the project. Then go to the next one. There's a 4-bedroom. This 4-bedroom has all the same features, and we begin to notice that the larger footprint. It's a 4-bedroom, and they all have the features of as we've seen the 2 or 3 bedrooms. And you notice 2 bedrooms, 2 windows, natural flow ventilation, door on the cut, and so forth. Then we'll start to go down to the next slide. Like I said, we started to notice a footprint starting to take a larger space in the lot that is developed by engineers, architects, and stuff like that. And so we, with the architect, we designed a 3-bedroom with the intersecting roof, and the intersecting portion of it is the cultural kitchen part of it. And these are all 10 inches, 8 to 10 inches above ground, so the ramp's only 10 feet long. It's exaggerated here. You have loading area where you can load your salmon, load your moose, whatever you want to process in that kitchen. Not take into your kitchen. You can do all the boiling and all the tanning in that specific area. I'll go to the 4-bedroom. The next that's a 4-bedroom, and the footprint is still smaller, which I think the 3 and 4-bedroom would be most popular. And like I said, I designed these for the west coast of BC. I designed this for affordability, so we know what the costs are related to the home. And I standardized that into the booklet and incorporated it into the interior design concepts, small design spaces, condition spaces, which architects and engineers told me we couldn't. I said, baloney. I'm a builder. I know what I can do. My experience brought that forward. At the same time, we had to think about ventilation, natural ventilation, passive ventilation, mechanical ventilation, where it costs money. And I said, well, incorporate a passive design in that. If you want to insert a HRV, ERV, and it's up to you. But with the heating system and this on all these units, they have a forced air system, and it's interconnected to a heat pump. The heat pump is your air conditioning, is also your heating system, and they're making it more proficient. But I would develop something and that's most suitable for your community. A lot of people say wood stoves. I said, it's too inconsistent. And I said, why don't you think about using a pellet stove, which is more consistent on burning and is more manageable for storage and everything else like that. So I found them pretty proficient. But it's up to you. But I shy away from wood burning appliances because I saw the damage it's caused, and you still hear about it today on the fires this causes. So we'll go to the next slide. This diagram shows, you'll see 3 or 4 diagrams like so. You'll see that the area that's most white is your cultural spice, and the pink and blue is your heating system, and the interconnected heat pump in a conditioned crawl space, meaning the crawl space is so insulated, so well airtight, that you naturally ventilate it with your heating system and your air conditioning system, and it needs nothing else in there. If you influence something else in there, it'll cause damages, and we found that out here in Bella Coola, trial and error with putting louvered screens on the outside walls, and just caused the spaces to freeze. So, and you look at the crawl space, you see an access door, and you see a door access from above. That if I go back 2 or 3 pictures, Guy, I'll point that out. Okay, stop right there, stop right there. So you see there where it says slope 1/4 inch to foot from the front door, and there's a little box
Yep.
alongside where it says vegetable, right, right there. There's a little box. That box lifts up and there opens up to a staircase down to the cultural part of the kitchen. Then you can access storage in there, or you can have storage in the cultural kitchen, but additional storage by lifting that little box there. You can access to a crawl space. Go back to the last slide we were at. That's there. So you see that little door there in the white spot, that's access to a crawl space. And there's a door that leads into the pink spot, the part that's right there. That's the door that leads into to maintain your furnace, your hot water tank, your hot water tank and everything else you have down there. That's mechanical. So that space is pretty much conditioned.
Richard, when you
Next slide, you'll see the thing.
when you say
Pardon me?
furnace, do you mean the heat pump here?
The heat pumps on the outside,
Yeah.
and it's interconnected to the furnace, which is in the middle of the building.
Right. The furnace is
And
not
vented through
the
the
furnace
top.
is not burning anything, it's distributing it, right?
It's just distributing air. It's burning also. So a heat pump, when they started, the heat pump was good to -1. Now they're getting better at it. Then the first forced air system will take over. And the forced air system will take over at -10 when it gets colder. And so with these homes that we built here in Bella Coola, the homes were costing us normally $12 to $17 a day with the heat pump and the forced air system, costing us $1 to $1.50 a day to run.
Wow.
And we're fossil fuels, so a tank of oil will last us almost 2 years now. Because we're off the grid here in Bella Coola. That's why I designed this system.
So that's an oil furnace
next.
for backup heat then, really?
That's oil furnace, yes. But if
Okay.
you got gas,
Yeah. That's for backup heat when the heat pump's not, it needs to work harder. Yeah. Next one.
yeah, we're still working on the design systems, but we find that most proficient for us in the west coast of BC here. Like I said, whatever you got that's working for you, incorporate into the building standard, and it'll work for you. It complements what you're doing. Like I said earlier, this is the west coast and has all the general ideas I noted as an inspector and incorporated into the building standards for the west coast of BC. Going on to the next one. And you'll see it over and over again. Then we'll go down to the interior spaces. I'll point out some of the things that next one.
These are all
the intersecting roofs, roofs. Down to the next one. That's your elevation. And that is your standard single family dwelling. In this case, it has hardy plank with a range screen application, ramp, trusses, large trusses, structural grade trusses, ventilation system on the roof. and the soffit ventilation system beneath. Now we know what this costs, $110 a square foot. By utilizing our resources, our people to build them, training them how to build them, and teaching them an application process and what they do in the buildings. Go down to the next slide. You see the windows are all one size. Oh, sorry, I've got one thing here. Go back up. Okay. One more. Okay, you notice there's a big window there. As an inspector, I worked in BC, and a common question for elders was, Richard, I can't see outside. Can you put a big window here for me to look outside? And that's why we have a big window on this building here that the elders asked for it, just to sit and look outside to see ongoing. That's the only difference here, but the bathroom windows you see are smaller. Okay, you can go back down. And here's a cultural part of it. The kitchen here could be any kind of door you want. The French door, no bifold, not the bifold, sliding bypass doors. Get doors most suited for your region. Create that air tightness to maintain that air tightness. And you see that foundation design. The foundation design had 2 layers of styrofoam, and we found that it was a higher footprint. So we said, well, they utilize glass, the type of glass rock that you can use to minimize your footprint, carbon footprint. And then even with the insulation application process, the selection of materials, we found that the rock salt had a high carbon reading. So we used rock salt on the perimeter only, and used and blown insulation in the middle of the building. Go down to the next slide. You see that. Keep going until you see a side elevation right there. You see the larger overhangs, noted here, the larger overhangs, the 3-foot overhang. So the wind washing and rain washing the west coast will hit the lower 2/3 of the building. But in the west coast, I found that the wind washing would be up to 100 miles per hour. And with the rain screen application, meaning that a rain screen application, meaning that we're creating actual airspace between the actual building paper and the building substrates and the siding. So when the moisture hits the siding, if it's saturated, it will drain out the bottom. And you can use that space as an insulated space also in the northern regions. So this is a concept I saw that was most effective for us to create that air tightness and yet promote the building life expectancy of the building to from 20 years or 70 years to a longer period of time. But the application process on the wind-driven side, you have to be careful that you minimize any breaches, meaning moisture coming in. So you have to be careful in doing that. And when the cold temperature days are horrific, like we go down to -40 here for a week on the prevailing wind side, we thicken the walls with creating from a 2x6 to a 2x8 wall on that particular side, or you can insulate the outside wall. But again, you look at the most affordable solution, the best buy principle to do that. And that's what we've done here. Go down a bit more. Keep going. Machine. Okay, stop at that one 2-bedroom unit. Stop, or that one's good. Yeah, that one's good. In the living space, in the habitable space, there is no access to the attic. The access to the attic is outside. That's the only place you can access the attic to place your insulation, and they're large enough. They're larger than normal. What we found here that metal roofing caused so much intensity of heat that the vents were too small. So we enlarged our vents to almost 18 by 36. And screen louvered, they're operable, they can open and close. And the application process of the insulation, it's designed, the first row of application is perpendicular or parallel with the truss to the outside wall, and the second layer is perpendicular to the first row to thermal rating of R52, and the gable ends, they're insulated all the way up to the height of the insulation itself. All cavities are filled to remove any opportunities of thermal bridging. Down, Gay. We don't install gutters because the snow will take them off. You design a outside space with a drainage system and a higher slope around the perimeter of the building. I'll just answer your question there. You go down. And this feature here has a 3-bedroom unit, has a solar panel option, and we put that up there. And what we found on the top and the roof ridge line, that the wind-driven rain, if you have a ridge line there, the wind-driven rain will saturate the building space. So we created a larger ventilation space, which is about 16 to 18 inches in width, and they can host solar panels and operate the gable end vents for maintaining a conditioned space, and that's in the design. Go down further. May sound complicated, but it's not. Down further. What you don't see in the drawings is, if you can imagine, the length of hardy plank. The length of hardy plank is 12 feet, so we utilized all the hardy plank to its maximum performance, and we created breaks on the siding. So by creating breaks, we if kids begin to break the siding, you take those vertical stanchions off, and they could change the siding without tearing down the whole side of the building, just only sectional part of it. You don't see that on this drawing, but that's what we're doing here in Bellacoola. Kids will find that hardy plank looks nice when it's broken, and they throw rocks at it, and well, okay, we'll put those things in there to easily maintain them. Go down further. Those basically the colors of siding. Down further. Okay, we're gonna stop right there, and then I see there's questions and stuff like that in the chat. Maybe go back to them and I can respond to them, Guy,
Yeah, so
before we get too far ahead.
yes. We got Patty Ground asking, do you install any sort of gutter system to deflect the rainwater runoff away from the crawl space?
In the wet coast, no, because the snow loads are so horrific, they'll take the gutters off within 6 months.
Right.
So we've got larger overhangs, and we combat that runoff by creating a drainage system within the substrates, and we slope the ground surface with a 3 to 5% slope, not a 1 or 3% slope, 3 to 5% slope.
So do you need perimeter drains, or the slope is sufficient?
It's with perimeter drains and sloping the ground.
Right.
To deter a buildup, eh?
Yeah, so if anyone has questions, put them in the chat, and this is your opportunity. And I believe Tabitha Eneas from the Penticton Indian Band has not joined us yet. Is that correct, Sebastian? So we can,
that's correct.
Okay, we'll carry on.
And there's a book link to the booklet. You responded to that.
Yeah.
The purpose of it.
Terry has asked a question. Do you have a basement in these homes?
It's a crawl space. It's a crawl space. It's not a basement. The crawl spaces are, we use a quad lock Fox block system, and it's 4 or 5 feet high. And it's insulated wall system in the crawl space. So you can use 4 feet, 5 feet. We put 5 feet because we can get in there easily to manage and maintain the building. And it's so warm. It's so warm. It's easy to maintain because that complements your habitable space above. The floors and everything are always warm.
So Richard, do
can
you
you-
picture people using the crawl space for storage, or is it better left for purely insulation purposes?
Yeah, they're on the left where the cultural space you can use as storage.
Yeah.
Down below and above. And you can use, I wouldn't suggest putting too much stuff in the condition space. It just creates havoc.
Yeah.
People are people. They do what they do.
Yeah.
There's a question. Can you comment on the design, the purpose of the yurt versus the residence? I don't know what a yurt is.
It's more common on southern Vancouver Island among. It's got none of these. It's not designed for this climate at all, Richard. A yurt is. Well, they're used in Mongolia, in fact, where they're covered in yak furs and stuff like that.
Oh, I see.
But it's a circular. It's a very, very cheap form of building. It's a single circular building, but it's not designed for your climate at all, right?
Oh, yeah.
So if I.
Does this building standard have a passive home certificate elements are utilized? No, and if you're going to go passive, I said good luck. I said I'm creating air tightness through vapor barrier, air barriers, and achieving the same things at a lower cost. And passive house design, I saw they're building at $700 a square foot in Vancouver. And I said, how is that affordable for First Nations? It's not. So that's why one of the reasons I created this booklet.
Yeah. So do you need a heat recovery ventilator as well, or is that redundant?
It's redundant. It's redundant. You can put it in there. We have them in here, and we experimented in different types of heating systems and appliances, and we found that the most affordable was this model.
Yeah.
Natural airflow and educating and training and educating. So we don't live in the city where we have a lot of opportunities for job opportunities and that. So
Yeah. So in Victoria, the typical building cost is around $250 a square foot. And I think it's similar for passive house, but yours at $110 a square foot is just fantastic, Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we built. 3 bedrooms at $110 a square foot.
And that's paying
with our guys, but bringing the carpentry program here and training the guys to do buildings properly, where we can minimize costs and utilize resources and cost savings was a challenge. And we learned that if we assign an apprentice a job description or a task to do, and he'll do that consistently till he's fully mastered it, then we'll get somebody else to do it, and he'll train somebody else to do it. So they all have a role and responsibility to the building of the house. That's where your cost savings were. The house will go up in 2 or 3 days, and they start waiting for the electrician and the plumber.
And are you paying industry wages to your carpenters and people?
Their wages we started at minimum wage, and we went up. I think we're up to $30-something an hour now. But most of the guys that finished the program are up to $30-40 because they started their own company. Excuse me. Some of them have moved on to we found that the guys that we had, they found they had
Yeah.
more to give. So some of the guys became electricians, cabinetry, some became plumbers.
So all the detailers here of the actual every component of the building, the cedar sidings, it's all here, right?
Yeah, those are the different types of designs, applications, like a shingle roof and metal roof application.
So,
The details are critical in that you follow the details to minimize any breach. And when you think about building, you think plus, plumb, level, uniform, square. When you think about building signs, think 4Ds: drainage, drying, deflection, durability, and incorporate those into your building standard. If you don't, you're not going to get the nominee that you want to have. You're going to get something that's a little bit different, I guess.
so Richard, Monica Louie is asking whether you need to have multiple buildings built to get down to $100, $110 a square foot, or is that a one-off building? You get benefits.
There's multiple buildings that formed that way by our guys. Once we give them assignments and job descriptions to do, I said, "This is your task. Get the material. This is your task. Get the layouts done and start putting them together." Each had responsibility, and they got done really quickly. They actually got bored. They wanted to do more and more. But in this community, like when I moved back to this community in 2014, and I saw the crisis we're in, I said, "Oh man, we don't have the people to do this work." So I touched base with an organization, Industry Trades Association, Indigenous File, and they asked me to talk to Motion College, which I invited into the community to build these homes and bring the training in. So they brought the carpentry program here, and we didn't have a good success rate setting them out. We had a 10% success rate, and overall we had a 90% success rate, where the guys here not only achieved their red seal, but they moved into electrical and moved into plumbing. So they got carpentry and both, and they moved. Some of them got first year, second year, third year, fourth year. So we helped them with this program. We helped them develop their weaknesses, and we pushed them forward to different parts of the program to electrical. When we found their strengths, we just motivated them forward. And most of my students, and I had 62 applications. Most of the students were young men, young women with children living in a home with their families that could not afford to go to school.
Yeah. So Richard, we got 5 or 6 questions lined up. One of them is, how many houses of your design have actually been built?
And I think on top of my head, we have 14 homes that we built, and we have probably 5 or 6, I think 4 commercial buildings we built, and we're building a daycare right now. But and then we did a lot of renovation, lot of renovation, getting our building our homes up to a standard where we could save them. And then, as world evolves, people evolve. I moved on, and politics getting in the way, and I said, time for me to step back and let them have their journey. Sad part of this is they did, but yeah. What's the next question?
Well, a lot of people are asking for the internet link for your actual PDF manual, because I gave the link which has the videos in it, but we'll find that link and send it to you in an email that follows up this webinar, because I can't search for it now, right? Unless you have it to put in the chat directly, Richard. Someone's asking.
I don't have it directly.
Okay, we'll find it. How long is the life expectancy of a unit? Well, obviously they're brand new, but what's your sense of how long?
I think that with the proper training, proper maintenance, and looking after it, it's probably 70 to 100 years easy.
I mean, as long as it's
Because,
kept dry,
it's-
it's all about the mold
yeah,
and damp, isn't it?
it's, yeah, it's more durable, sustainable
Yeah,
now with a different type of
Yeah.
material selected. Before, people came in here and were building at $350 a square foot.
yeah. So another question we got is, how close can the buildings be placed? You need to stay within fire code recommendations, or is the distance more of a culturally based decision?
It's more of a land-based decision, but we, with our units putting close together, and our plan was to build kind of a tiny house concept. There, fire separations 8 foot apart with their fire rated walls and ceilings.
Yeah,
Tiny houses are 8 foot apart,
right.
and we built those at $70 a square foot.
And someone seeking clarification on the $110 a square foot. Is that the same cost for a 2-bedroom and a 4-bedroom house? Because they're obviously per square foot. It's probably
That was a cost of a 3-bedroom home.
right. Yeah. Let me ask a question about
Yeah.
coming up around financing. How easy is it for a band to find the financing if they want to build 20 new homes or even 100 new homes? How difficult is that, or what are the processes?
The process is quite complicated because we have in BC maybe 6, 7 different organizations that are delivering the funding, CMHC, AMA, or BC Housing, whatever they may be. They all have a different playbook, and that creates a lot of conflict in the housing managers' minds and the administrative part of it. And that's part of the gap that we have to fill. With this program, I secured $11 million for new houses and training. I think 5 was for training, 5 was for housing, and I forget what the $1 million was for. But
Yeah.
when I left the office, that of course went to the left field also. So it is what it is, and it is where it is.
Given that we got 210 also, Indian bands around the province, is there one place where they can find a document and say, this is the protocol for getting the finance we need? Step A, step B, step C, scratch your head, have a headache, step D.
I'm not aware of it, but I know that people are looking to develop resource centers to manage that, because most people in most communities, knowing that we have 220 bands, a lot of them don't even access the funding because they don't have the capacity to in their communities to negotiate through the paperwork that's needed, and that's a problem. That we want to fill a gap and say, okay, we have a resource here, we have a system here, let's build it to support the nation, not line the pockets of federal governments that are taking our money from the Treasury Board and taking 50% of it for delivery of a home. To me, that's just wrong.
Given that you're assuming a self-administration and a local governance, does the Indian Act get in the way of smooth decision making?
Yes, there's a lot of variables, a lot of arrows flying left and right here. But if you develop yourself as an authority, having jurisdiction, develop yourself as administration, developing administration, you can do it. A lot of the bands like Tabitha's have done that. They glide through the process, but most bands don't. And this booklet was to create affordability. This booklet was to address the shortfall. This booklet was for West Coast people at BC. Simple as that.
Yeah. I wonder, has Tabitha joined us? If maybe she'd come in under a different email. Tabitha from the Penticton Indian Band was going to speak about her experience. She's managing 200 homes there, but she's maybe been held up on some other project or initiative.
Yeah.
So you mentioned at the beginning that you want a band to become an authorized resource in order to use this manual, or can anyone just jump in and use it?
Anybody can use it if they understand it. And part of the work that they need to do is apply it and develop it to meet their needs, not my needs. It has 18 facets that I saw as problematic as an inspector. And I incorporated all these features in the booklet, whether it's mold, whether it's indoor air quality, whether it's heating systems, whether it's moisture. It's all in this booklet. It was interior design concepts. It's all in this booklet.
Yeah.
So
And if a band wants to send,
free to do with it.
if a band wanted to send 10 younger men and women to get trained in these skills, how would they go about that? Who would they approach?
I would say tap on your federal people's door. Talk to industry trade association, Indigenous file, talk to Indian affairs,
Right.
talk to the people that manage your dollars. And talk to your hierarchy to kind of support you on this, because if they don't, it's a different story again.
Tamara Ashawasega is saying, I hope I got the pronunciation right there, that CMHC does provide funding for training of this kind. And Bryce Gilroy Scott, who's got a long background in sustainable technologies, actually says, thank you very much for sharing, Richard. This is fascinating, and you have clearly put a lifetime's practical knowledge into the project. So that's a compliment coming from a fellow technology specialist and builder.
Yeah, and there's a lot of work to be done. Next week I'll be in Montreal working with a group, roundtable, Aboriginal roundtable on Indigenous housing, and they'll hear what I have to say and how do we fill the gaps. And
Yeah.
I feel that we all have to do a part, and I'm just doing my part, what I think's most helpful to our First Nations people, because we're in a crisis mode now. Then we've been in it as long as I can remember, and I got into housing, that's 38 years ago. And I said, if I don't put this out there and don't do my part,
So
who's going to do it?
Monica Louie from the Okanagan Indian Band, do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question directly to Richard? Monica? Just press the unmute button.
Hi, Richard. It's Chris and Monica here. But it was, we're looking to get a home built, and we're just following the presentation today, and wondering if you would do a build on the Okanagan Indian Band just outside of Vernon, and if we could receive a quote, because that seems like it's a pretty premium rate for $110 a square foot. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk a little bit about what's happening here. And right now we're in the process of lobbying to get another program for First Nations, and we're going to build 2 buildings, one on the west coast of BC and the one in the interior. And these buildings will be mock-ups supported by the province, BC Hydro, BC Housing, sadly Indigenous Service Canada is Haman and Han, but these people will be putting a program together, an education program. It's called the Micro-Credential Certification for Energy Efficiency, to teach our First Nations people about building science, building technology, and all those, and fill the gaps that we need to do within their communities, and also help them, give them pointers on how to get the program into your community. But I see when we do this work, it's going to be, we plan to have an open venue to the communities in the regions and in BC to come and have a look and say, okay, this is what it looks like, and this is what its results look like. But we'll get there.
So
I'm excited for that.
Marilyn Johnny, who you were talking with earlier from Duncan, say, come build the unit in Duncan, BC. But I figure you'd rather they get 10 people trained and build it themselves, right?
Yeah. So that we're developing that education curriculum to support this booklet, and it addresses the booklet and the application process. Right now, we're just lobbying for the dollars to do that. And if you download this booklet, they have videos on there and you'll see the videos. And if you go to New Hawk's website, you'll see some of the work and some of the conversation and dialogue we had with Industry Trades Association of BC, the Carpentry Apprenticeship Board, and BC Housing. They all got links, and they all had questions that they asked me that are similar to the ones you're asking today. But explore your website and explore New Hawk's website, and you'll find a lot of information there, what we've done here, and what the challenges were, and what they are, and what the gaps are, and how we need to address them. But I would say to people that are listening, develop a building standard for that meets your needs, not my needs, meets your needs, but all the things are incorporated into this booklet. Just kind of edit and develop your own, and develop yourself as authority having jurisdiction, that if people come in and build differently, you have the order to stop. And better yet, build capacity with the community and start building with what resources you have. Another file I'm working on is with UBC, the architects that are going to school. They designed us some post and beam timber frame buildings, and then we're incorporating airtightness and building science into those buildings to suit, our needs, not industry, our needs. Meaning that we're going to be cutting and milling and falling our own trees and developing them into our own timber frame cultural homes. So that's in the works right now too, as we speak. I'm working on that file. So
Marilyn, Johnny, do you want to unmute yourself and talk about the Blade Runner program you're running in Duncan directly and the construction trades? Marilyn.
Yeah, we're not running it. My son actually took it at VIU when he was in the construction certificate program back in 2010. But I know when I worked at Nanoose First Nation, they had a Blade Runners program, and also Malahat First Nation. Usually those programs are run through like the CSETs, which is the Coast Salish Employment Training Society here in Cowichan. Actually, it's on the southern Vancouver Island, but they do run Blade Runners programs. And I know that the Malahat First Nation, they had the Blade Runners program there and built a couple of their social housing units as well. I don't remember when, but it's probably within the last 5 years.
And would those construction trades programs know about Richard's work typically?
I'm hoping, because this is pretty fantastic to find out that you could build those, like that 3-bedroom unit for $110 a square foot. Like that's huge savings. And I like that they have the heat pumps, because a lot of the Clean BC with BC Hydro and all those other organizations are offering those types of programs within all our West Coast, especially because, we're, well, not in Duncan, but up in Port Hardy, like they get as much rain as Prince Rupert. So because of the climate change and all that stuff that's happening in all our territories. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that there is the Blade Runners program, and I could see something like that working with Richard to utilize that program. So are those units and building those standards.
Yeah. Richard, there's a question around building inspectors. Does your regional district employ building inspectors who have to come out and approve your designs, or is that all going very smoothly?
It's going very smoothly. Why am I here, basically? And they don't have that capacity. You don't really understand what they're looking at unless you're a builder.
Yeah.
And that's just a nemesis of that program. I want to go back to the booklet, if you will, to the interior design part of it. There's a couple of things I want to really point out and highlight to the ones that are online here.
So which page do you want me to go to?
And go down to the interior finishes part. That's the technical part of the booklet.
Metal roof, windows.
That's the roof and
windows.
Yeah. Go to the interior design part of
Getting there.
interior,
Wood framing,
interior finishes.
sealants, finishes, heating, ventilation, plumbing and drainage, electrical, concrete, building closure. They're the only.
That's the building science part of it there. So that's
Right.
the building signs part of it there. But
Right.
go up to where you saw the heat pumps, and you have the interior elevations.
Heat pumps. There's a heating and ventilation standards here. That what you want?
Further up, way up. Okay, here's that one picture there.
Wood framing, entry landing,
Go up.
windows, roof.
I lost the picture.
I didn't see a picture. I was scrolling past it. I didn't. We got the
Yeah.
grills. And we're into the earlier designs.
That's the types of doors, go to the types of doors.
Yeah.
See the door here, the doors here is a transom light door. The door is wheelchair accessible. There's
Right.
your exterior doors, there's your interior closet doors. They got the louvers in there, but the transom light door creates natural airflow ventilation.
Right.
Throughout the home, and the door itself on the bottom is undercut about 1 inch. Also helps you with that passive airflow.
Yeah.
Now go up to the interior finishes.
I must be.
I think you went by it. You went by it.
Interior finishes, page 39.
I need control of that.
39. Let me get down to page 39, 35. Excuse me, people watching all this. 39. Here we are, the interior finishes.
So that, that's what the homes look like.
Wow.
All the cabinets are wooden. All the floors wooden. And believe it or not, vinyl. Vinyl has a low carbon footprint, so I'd use that in the cultural spaces. And the post and beam features and everything else, LED lighting, beautiful. Even the corner, and if you look at the different finishes on the booklet, it'll show you corner details to protect the walls.
Yeah.
It'll show you pieces that we incorporated to protect the walls from puncture where
Yeah.
the door swings open. All those little things I saw as an inspector, the doorknob pounding holes through the doors are addressed in this booklet here. All these little things that cost
Sorry.
money.
Trying to get the close up.
That's the building science part of it. Go up further.
Just going to reduce the page size a bit. Wood framing, gutters, entry landing, exterior doors. Yep. Really detailed work.
Yeah.
There's the PVC frame. And that is a double glazed or a triple glazed? Double.
Double glazed and triple glazed, just air tightness. Go up further. Yeah, go way up.
Roof.
So
Exterior.
you see the interior finishes. Elevations. Further.
Space for interior finishes. What page is that? Page 39. You want me going
I
down?
don't have-
39, not to go down, right?
Just no, go up further.
Well, this was interior finishes.
Go further up. Go up further. Listen to me. Go
I'm doing my
to
best.
the top where you were.
Doing my best here. Which of these pages do you want me to go to?
Yeah. Go up. You see the door schedules, the further. On this, you're right here. You'll see that features. And there's a door with a transom light. You see the beam, you see the corner guards. And you'll see where the door of the transom, and there's a little on the closet part of it, there's a grill on the wall that promotes air exchange right up here and to your left or your right, to your left. Next one over. Go back to where you were a minute ago, a second
Okay.
ago.
This one up here.
Down.
There
Right
we
there, right there.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Right there is the transom door, and right there is you see a grill.
Yeah.
That grill is to ventilate your closet space.
Right.
No, go to the next picture down below. You'll see the transom light door right there. You'll see that piece of wood there. That'll
Yeah.
stop the doorknob from going into the wall.
Right. Yeah. When you got these
The
children
wood
rushing around,
features
right?
are on the, yeah, Children, yeah,
Children.
these are affordable homes,
Yeah,
interior trim details.
yeah.
And the ventilation process,
So, Richard,
large.
with the materials you have to ship up to the New Hawk territory, is that a cost? You know, a lot of these are imported. You know, I mean, the hardy board, for instance, you're not manufacturing it locally, right?
No, but we tried profiling cedar siding, but we found that it was such a large learning curve that it was costing me money. So I went back to hardy plank,
Yeah,
and the packages for materials, once we and back in 2014, the packages for the materials were for all the materials, which includes the cabinets shipped in on site, were about $50,000 to $60,000.
yeah,
Now, 400% markup
Ugh.
in the industry. So we said, well, let's utilize what resources we can. So we went back to making board and batten siding and wood trim, and utilizing all the wood we can to maximize our cost and our designs.
Yeah.
So we figured that if we incorporate building beams and posts and beams, the cost alone would be $70,000 that we're saving. And we have a mill, we have a kiln and everything else like that, but we're getting it where we want to be. It's just a matter of securing the funding to build and securing partnerships to utilize our logging company to build
yeah.
at a lower cost.
So
And great job, say.
I'm wondering, Patrick Caraher, do you want to unmute yourself and mention the Squamish Nations Training and Trade Center, Patrick?
Yeah, so we've been sort of helping them out with engaging people to get into their programs. They recently had an Indigenous Building Maintenance Worker program. They're talking about possibly doing an HVAC program. Not only just to get Indigenous peoples into these trades, but there's just a huge demand for these trades, period, in BC, and I'm sure in the rest of Canada as well. So yeah, I can connect. I don't know if Richard's already connected with Benny Great in there or not, but I can connect them, or I can throw it in the chat there. I contact for the Squamish Nations Training and Trade Center.
And you're with the AHMA, is that the Aboriginal Housing Management Association? Or
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Good connection. If you put the contact, we'll share with everything in the chat with links like this, we can share in the follow-up message after we finish.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yes, well, we're coming. It's Tara Shushtarian from Burnaby saying she's spellbound. As we pay so much for buildings in the Lower Mainland, and she'd love to have a cultural kitchen in her house, right? Yeah. So I think
There is another question I wanted
yes,
to
Tara,
ask.
ask directly, Tara.
Yeah. Richard, we just recently attended a council meeting in Burnaby, and they are suggesting, instead of homes to be torn down, they are relocating homes and offering it up to First Nations. And they're saying that this could be a housing solution for the housing crisis on reserves and all. What is your opinion? They've already given something to the Songhees Nation, and I believe as a nation or band, you can give tax receipts to the people who are donating these homes, which can be relocated instead of demolishing them. So what is your opinion on this?
That's a double-edged sword, I tell you that much, but I know people that do that, and I look at the facts that the cost of industry to build, to construct is so fantastically high it might be a suitable option to retrofit a home to incorporate the energy practices that are so, I think, so good today and now being utilized that it would be more affordable. At the same time, I would say to people, build a capacity to support the bills that you have. Utilize what resources you have. That means the wood that you have, the people that you have in the community to support the program. It has to happen that way for anyone to take ownership of a home. That stigma and that model that we lived in the past was not working. It's still not working.
Yeah.
But how do you minimize your costs? Yeah, ask you that question.
So Joanne, do you want to unmute yourself and share the thoughts you're offering in the chat to Richard?
Hi, Richard. I just wanted to say this is great work. I wish I would have had this information before I built my house. I think there's lots of great for the next home buyer. This is great information. You know, because we support the heat pumps as well, but you know, the dual setup that you have to have for different temperatures. Like the heat pumps are good to a certain level, but then you still have to have that other addition. It's not just a one depending on the temperature. My family's originally from Ontario, and yeah, we have the same kind of temperature as you have, and our houses are built like cardboard houses. You could see frost in my mom's front door, the window inside the house, because it's built, you know, they're built long time ago and really cheaply built. It's such a shame to see, but even to the renovation cost to change that is ridiculous, right? So yeah, I just wanted to say hi, and this is a great workshop. I think we have to have one for our home buyers, our home builders in the future, of what to look out for and some of those things to just consider. Because when I designed my own house and built my own house, I really, you know, I was doing it as much as I can and learn. I wasn't thinking about all these little things that you had mentioned that are really, really important. So thank you again.
You're welcome. I think industry has had a good stranglehold in our communities, and one of the biggest beliefs that we had, and we had as First Nations people, we believed in engineers, architects, and consultants.
Yeah.
Now we know better.
So Jane Devonshire from Victoria, she's pointing out that the new generation of heat pumps can work well in -25 to -30, been proven in the Kootenays, and also globally the biggest uptake of heat pumps is in Norway and Finland, which have very similar cold climates to we have here in Canada. So that's great progress on the heat pump front happening there. And do you, by the way, do you access the grants that are available for the heat pumps each time you do one of those buildings, Richard? From the BC Better Homes program?
No, we haven't. That became a flavor after the fact.
All right, okay, but that's available now. So I think we come to wrap up.
Yeah.
Is Conrad Young with us? I don't see his email from the Raven Trust. Raven has been, helping to promote this. So I want to thank you, Richard, for this wealth of lifetime of building experience. If you hadn't done all that framing and carpentry and joining stuff, you wouldn't have got to this place of really being so, so constructively valuable for everyone. So I'm going to change the screen to gallery, and everyone unmute yourselves. Everyone unmute. Can we do that collectively? Yeah, and let's give a 1, 2, 3. Yay! All together.
Thank you.
And if you have your little reactions, you can put a little heart up and your feelings like that. So I know we're on air, it's an online thing, but we're really sending lots of appreciation.
Yeah.
There we go. So thanks everyone. We will send a follow-up email with all the links and details.
Guy.
So yeah.
Thanks, Guy.
Awesome.
Thanks everyone.
Thanks,
We're all
Guy.
over and out. Thanks very much. Thanks, Richard. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, thanks.
Thank you, Richard. Bye.
Yeah,
Bye.
take care, everybody.
Yeah,
Open your minds, open your hearts, and have fun.
yeah.
Good advice.
Richard, yeah,
Yeah.
I did, Guy. I think the gentleman from Okanagan left his email